I would like to invite Sean Anderson to come up. Sean writes for the Downtown Phoenix Journal, and he wants to tell a story about his ongoing love affair with Phoenix. And I have to say, when Sean told me that this was a story topic, it was like, you will be the only one. You have to come. So I'm very excited to welcome Sean up here. Yes.
It's Seth, not Sean. I'm Seth. But I'm pretty much a self-proclaimed historian. I love history. I always have. I always did. And I love Southwest history, Arizona history, and Phoenix history. When people tell me that there is no Phoenix history, it's borderline offensive because it's not true. Phoenix has ancient history, modern history. The problem is so much of it isn't preserved or celebrated. So in the 1950s, Phoenix was kind of defined by these mini resorts that lined the thoroughfares through town, namely Grand Avenue and Van Buren, which there was a lot like the Oasis, the Kontiki, the Desert Sun, the Egyptian. There was dozens of them. In 1955, Del Webb built one kind of off the path at First Street between Polk and Taylor. It was called the Sahara Inn. It had 175 rooms. It had a restaurant, had a bar, had a pool, had the whole thing. Marilyn Monroe stayed there when she filmed Bus Stop in Phoenix. And my grandma stayed there the first time she passed through town in the late 50s. And she told me that it was late May, and the sun was setting, it smelled like orange blossoms, the wind was rustling through the palm trees. She was watching her kids in the pool, and she said, I'm going to live here. I don't know when or how, but I'm going to move here. And in 1961, she did. My family's been here ever since. Fast forward a couple of decades, downtown's gone through a lot of changes. The Sahara Inn has changed ownership, it's changed names, it's been stuccoed, it's painted, it's ugly, it's dilapidated. No one really cares about it, except for me. The bones of it were really cool. There was a lot this building could have been. It was really a gem in downtown Phoenix. News broke that the city of Phoenix and ASU had acquired the land. They were going to tear it down and build a parking lot. So I immediately took to the interwebs to rail against this decision. I thought it was so foolish, because it could have been like a Clarendon or the Valley Ho in downtown, this kind of oasis place. There was only one Sahara Inn built by Del Webb in downtown. They were going to tear it down. So I networked with a bunch of other preservationists and people in town, and we had a meeting with the mayor and some ASU people on the 17th floor of City Hall around this big polished table. It was one of the worst meetings of my life. It was really, really unfortunate. And one of the guys from ASU said, there's nothing you can do. This building's coming down. Trains left the station. Too bad. And I was heartbroken that no one seemed to care about Phoenix history. I knew it was a loss for the downtown community, for downtown Phoenix history, and for the urban fabric of downtown. And I felt like my dog had died. I was really, seriously, really sad. And I left the meeting that night, and I went across the street to the After Hours Gallery. It was where the 26 Blocks exhibit had just opened. And 26 Blocks was an art exhibit where they paired up 26 local writers, 26 local photographers, and each assigned a particular block downtown. They were to photograph it and write about it. And I went around, I looked, I was reading and things. It was really cool. I got to one, and the text was written from the perspective of the block. And it said something like, I used to have a hotel on me, and then it was torn down, and for about 30 years I was a parking lot, and recently I was redeveloped, and now there's a journalism school, and there's students, and there's activity and education and innovation. Part of me is still a parking lot, but I hope that someday I'll be redeveloped on that part. And my lips started to quiver, and I burst into tears. And I know that I looked like the crazy, lonely drunk at the party, because it was an art exhibit. It's not like Harry Potter, where it's okay to cry. and I realized that the reason I was so sad and it just wasn't the end of the story. That even though that building was lost, and I knew it was going to be, and 3 days later they did begin to demo it, it wasn't the end of the story. And as long as I'm here in Phoenix, and I'm here forever and by choice, I will always advocate for Phoenix history and historic preservation, because a city that doesn't know where it came from doesn't know where it's going. And I see that Phoenix kind of struggles to find its identity, because so much of what defined Phoenix, the buildings, the neighborhoods, the businesses, were demolished and paved with parking lots. And as heartbreaking as that loss of that building was for me, there are a lot of saves, and that success is extra sweet. And it's like the song says, you have to win a little, you have to lose a little, you got to take the time to booze a little. That's how I sing it. Because that's the story of, that's the glory of love. Thank you.